but enough talking about how we do the show. What do you say we just do the damn thing?
On the day that we met on the internet, I asked her for a photograph. She sent it over to me, said, I know it's ugly. And I said, girl, ugly ain't the half, look at you. Well, you got blue teeth and you only got 2 teeth, but I kinda like to see you smile. And it appears that over the years you've turned into a big old steaming pile. And she said, yeah, I know I ain't no supermodel. I said, you ain't a hand model, baby, but that's fine, 'cause you're pretty ugly by most people's standards, but you're alright by mine.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, welcome. This is your old pal, Justin Robert Young, joining you for yet another edition of the Justin Robert Young podcast. Just a busy week, man. I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm gonna lay this rap on y'all. I mean, you guys can't see me unless you're watching on twitch.tv/JustinRYoung, but I'm laying back in the cut. I'm not even like on my lights. In fact, I'm gonna move way back. I'm like barely. I'm just gonna keep rolling back. I'm gonna put up my feet. This is good. I don't know. I like this kind of shot. I'm just if you're only listening to the audio podcast, I kind of like this. This is me in a very distant, gaze upon everybody. I feel like I should just like periodically have somebody come in and like whisper in the back of my ear, and I'll just shoo them off. I got a lot. I mean, the reason why I'm relaxing, man, is because I got a lot going on. I got a lot happening. We got a busy week already. It's only Tuesday, and it's only going to get busier. Now, y'all might be asking, Justin, what the hot ham water's happening? Why is everything so busy? Well, I mean, I'm going to tell you. We got a lot coming up. And we got a lot happening this week. So first things first, I want to get this out of the way just because it's going to be important, and I want everybody to know. I am going to be in your town. If your town is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, then I am going to be in your town. I'm there with John Teasdale for the PAX Unplugged. If you're unfamiliar with the Penny Arcade Expo, that's what PAX stands for. And for the first time ever, they are going to be doing a board game and card game convention called PAX Unplugged. Get it? Because normally Penny Arcade is all video games. So go ahead and pop that one out. And you got PAX Unplugged. What am I going to be doing there? Well, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Initially, I was like, well, let me try and go ahead and get a booth there. We can sell the Contender. Cool. So I emailed them. They were like, cool, we'll get you, we'll go ahead and hit you back. And then meanwhile, I was like, well, you want to know what? Here's the thing I wanted to start doing more and more of is getting used to submitting for a lot of these events. The South Bys of the world, the PAXs of the world, sketch festivals, stuff like that. We got a lot of podcasts that it seems like people like. So why not go ahead on out there and submit stuff? So as a lark, I submitted to PAX Unplugged a talk with John Teasdale and I called How to Lose $40,000 on a Successful Kickstarter. based on the Medium article that we ran last year about how we lost $40,000 on a successful Kickstarter. And lo and behold, we got accepted. So that's where we're going to be. Funny subnote to that, they never really got back to me on the ability to get space for a booth to sell the game. So we're going to work out some other way that people can buy the game while we're at PAX. But here's what's important. If you are at in the Philadelphia region, I am going to be in Philadelphia for sure Saturday afternoon. That is November. I should really start memorizing this. November 18th, I believe. Yeah. November 18th is when John and I, 1:30 in the afternoon, we are going to be giving our talk. I guarantee it's going to be super fun. It's going to be wild. And day passes for PAX are really cheap. It's like $25 to get in if you just want to get in Saturday. Man, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you come on out. Furthermore, and we are still nailing down the details on this, but there might also be just another JuRY live show that night. I highly recommend you do both. I don't believe that the JuRY live show, if it happens, will be something that you would have to buy a ticket for. So go ahead and check it out. More details on this coming up, but I will be in Philadelphia November 18th. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be awesome. I'm super excited, and I really hope everybody is able to come out. This is something that I want to do more of. The reason why I want to do more of it, or rather, the reason why more of it is likely, sorry, not 1:30, 3 p.m. 3 p.m. on Saturday. I'm already getting corrected by the chat room, who is correct, right? But here's, my God, this is a great example of why what I say next is going to ring all the more prescient. Because the reason why stuff like this is more likely is because I am now working with somebody who is going to have to come up. I'm going to have to come up with a title for her, because I talk too much that is going on revolves around her actually making me do stuff. I'm working with my friend Tamar. I don't know why I ran that into each other. Working with my friend Tamar. She is like business consigliere, advisor, surrogate of older sister figure, because I never had an older sister. She is really helped me kind of reshape the entire business of the podcast and a lot outside of it over the last couple days. She is your voice. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, I really would like to know when Justin is around, how I can interact with the show, how I can support the show, how the Patreon can do more for me. If you answered the survey that I sent out earlier, this is all because Tamara is working with me. And part of that is she is forcing me to do things like I'm about to say right now. We want to do something around all the best stories that we're told on this show. So I want you guys to email in your history of listening to this show, the best stories. So go ahead and just hit me up, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. It could be a story that I told, could be a story that I read, just the best stories, bar none. And Tamar recommended that just so we don't all get the same ones, go ahead and hit up one that is just your personal favorite that might be a hidden gem. I don't know if we're going to do a clip show, but whether it's like a book or fodder for a live show. Tamar was like, hey, listen, a lot of these things are good to kind of revisit every once in a while, if just because new elements can bubble up in the intervening time. So it's just good to have. And also it gives me a sense from you guys, the listeners to this show, on the kind of stuff that you like, so we can continue to evolve the program going forward. So there we go. 2 things that I would never do that I am now doing because Tamar is working with me on this show. So I plugged something. I can guarantee you that if I did not have to face Tamar the day after I do this show, I would forget to plug this PAX Unplugged thing until the week before I was there, and then I would say it for 2 seconds. Hey, I'm going to be in Philadelphia on Saturday. Show up or don't. I don't know. Whatever. But now I'm going to give everybody like a month's warning, and hopefully I can have people show up. And if we do this other live show, I'm going to let you guys know I'm very nervous about my drawing power by myself. I'm intensely nervous about you guys coming out for this. You have no idea how much agita it brings me to worry about whether or not people would show up in any kind of numbers. I'm afraid. I'm panicked and I'm afraid. So here's why I want to also bring this feeling up, because I'm also afraid about where I'm going to go this weekend. You guys, I'm going down to the LBC with so much drama in the LBC. I'm going to TwitchCon this weekend. Many of you may be aware that over the last year, we made the decision to move a lot of our programming from the exclusively our own private CDN. So we started streaming on Twitch, and we started using the Twitch chat rooms and stuff like that. So it's a community that we really wanted to pay more attention to, because there's not a lot of live streaming communities on the internet. And we kind of felt like we had survived and built our own thing, but it was time to kind of re-plug in to this thriving community. But I'm not going to lie to you, folks. It kind of feels like, for me, like I'm coming into high school after being homeschooled. So all these other people, they all know what to do, and all of them, they all stream video games, and they all have names for their communities, and they all have hoodies, and they do charity streams, and everybody knows each other, and they all rate each other, and they sub each other, and there's this like hip happening language, and I don't know, I've always been, and maybe this is a residual from growing up and moving a lot when I was a kid, but I'm always very nervous about joining pre-established communities. I'm very nervous about it. Gambling Man in the Twitch chat says this is an old man alert. I don't think it's an old man alert thing. I think I'm just very nervous. I was nervous like this as a child. Yeah, we moved around a lot. I didn't go to the same school from kindergarten to 3rd grade. These are formative years, my friends. These are very formative years. And everybody else knew each other and everything. And then I went to a different middle school than all of the kids I went to high school with. And then I went to a different high school than people I went to middle school with. I've constantly been like trying to make new friends. And so now I'm going down to TwitchCon, and I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to lie. I almost bailed. Today. I almost bailed on TwitchCon. I almost just canceled my flight to TwitchCon. Almost did. For this reason. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do down there. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I mean, there's some people I'll run into, right? And I don't know. I mean, it's just because I started to get in my head. And I started to think, well, what if everybody doesn't like me? What if everybody is it's just I'm gonna go talk to people and open bio in the chats like, oh, networking. Well, what if I go up to somebody and I'm like, hey man, I saw you on the thing, and they're like, cool. And then it's just me looking right into their face. And all I'm going to want to say is just,
anyway, see you later.
I don't know why that had reverb. So, I guess here's the thing. This is not necessarily a lack of confidence, although I guess on some level it is. But, so I'm not. I didn't cancel it. There's also a lot going on. I decided, I almost let it get to me. I'm not going to lie, folks. I almost let it get to me. I almost just said no. I almost just said, I don't want to go. I just want to stay home. I'm like, I got a lot of other travel. I'm going to BlizzCon, And then you want to, I wound up talking Ali Spagnola, for our friend. Ali Spagnola is going to be down there for a day, so I'll get to hang out with her. There's other people that I met at the Twitch hosting thing. I can meet up with them. I don't know. I mean, I guess here's the thing is I kind of wanted to share this with you guys because this has been a raw emotional year. And, there's been a lot of change, some change for the not so good and some change for the good. And, I had this injury and with the back, and it really kind of put me in a whole different kind of mindset. And we had the move to Twitch, and we had people really upset about that. And we, that was its own kind of thing. And then we had the Kickstarter, and that was great, but it wasn't what we wanted it to be. And we have the manufacturer of it. And I started working with Tamar, like I mentioned before. There's just a lot going on. And I want everybody to know that there is often, I think sometimes, a sense that when you do a show like this, where you are talking to everybody about yourself and by yourself, that there's an element of arrogance to it. And I guess on some level there is. It is a skill like any other. But what I want is for everybody to understand that there are elements to life that I feel are kind of universal in our little group. And I'd be shocked if there were many people listening to somebody as neurotic as I am, combing through the inner recesses of my brain, that doesn't in any way feel a little bit of kinship to wanting to immediately back out of going to visit a bunch of people that you don't know, right? Of trying to throw down roots in a new community. Like, it is a little, I think it is a little universal. So I don't want this to be a pity party. It is not a pity party. This is certainly more just trying to share my own little peccadillos with you guys as we go through this world. Also, I started using my Snapchat again. Go ahead and follow me on Snapchat. I dropped off doing the Snapchat for a little bit because I wasn't really in a good headspace with the back thing, and that's all I really wanted to talk about, and I didn't want to do it on my Snapchat. So go ahead and follow me on the Snapchat. You can follow me and see whether or not going down to Long Beach was a horrifyingly bad decision. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and get into here we go. This is we got some great stories. In fact, I'm gonna tell you guys. This is the greatest piece of journalism ever written. Here we are. I just want to read this headline for y'all. This is from DNAinfo.com. DNAinfo.com. Come on, why is this being stupid? You're shielding this amazing headline. How can we not see this? Oh God, we got to refresh this page. Here we go. $1 million condos offer sweeping views of public sex in Harlem Park. This is the greatest piece of journalism I've read in a long time. It is written by Gustavo Solis. We read now with the timestamp of, the dateline of Harlem. Marie Gelot didn't realize what an eyeful she'd get when she bought her $1 million apartment overlooking Marcus Garvey Park. Besides the sweeping views of the birch, maple, and sweet gum trees that fill the park, you can often see men and women having sex there in broad daylight. I saw a lot of blowjobs, guys having sex, guys masturbating. I really saw the whole gamut. Galat, who lived in the complex for 5 years. She moved out in August. Now, I wrote a thing that God knows where it's going to show up, but it's going to be about how to read news sources that you don't like, but can be enriching to your life. It's for more of the political set. So if you are a Hillary Clinton voter, how you can read Breitbart, how you can get the best out of reading Breitbart or Daily Caller or stuff like that. If you're a dyed in the red hat MAGA man, then how you can read the Jacobin or Daily Kos, right? Just my ways that you can do this. One of the things is appreciating a well-written lead and nut graph. This is inside baseball, but a lead and a nut graph are the first sentence is a lead. Your nut graph is basically the rest of the story. What you want in a good lead and nut graph is to have a full sense of the roadmap of your story. All right? You want the full roadmap there. And with that roadmap, you want to understand the journey you are going to go on. Well, I have to say to you, Gustavo Solis, at JournoGoose on Twitter, JournoGoose. I want everybody to tweet JournoGoose on Twitter and let him know that he is rightfully being signaled out for writing great and important journalism. You know exactly what's going to happen in this story. This story is letting you know you are going to read about people having sex in a public park and millionaires being forced to watch it. No, I just want to let you know. That what we are about to read might be my favorite quote that I have read in a news story in a very long time. And no, Dan Wally in the Twitch chat, I'm not just yanking your nut graphs. First, we get this woman who bought $1 million house saying, I saw a lot of blowjobs. How good is that? All right, we're already off to the races. Here we go. The building has such direct view of the illicit activity that the NYPD often uses it as a headquarters for sting operations. So it's got such a great public view of where people are fucking in this park that the NYPD's like, nah, this is where we hang out here with binoculars when we're trying to stop this. Officers with binoculars and radios use Galat's apartment to catch horny park goers and flagrante delicto, signaling to their undercover counterparts on the ground who would often make the arrest. But the issue predates the Fifth Avenue's building's opening in 2009. Construction workers noticed it when the building was being constructed. Doorman Dave Lamboy said, at first, he thought the construction crew was exaggerating, but when a resident asked him to water the plants while she was on vacation, Lamboy saw it with his own eyes. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and need you to pull over your cars. Yeah, I know a lot of people listen to this show while they are driving. But I need you to please prepare yourself because I'm going to read the best quote I've read in 5 years. Here we go. I'm a lifelong New Yorker. I've seen many things. But what I saw that day shocked me, the doorman recounted. Not to be too graphic, but it was one gal and three guys. Oh my God, I love it so much. This is the best quote ever. Because this is what I love about the quote. This is what I love about the quote, okay? The mark of good journalism, print journalism, is how evocative it is. And then at the next level, how much you believe that you are there with the reporter, right? You know exactly what this guy was doing. In fact, I can imagine him. I'm a lifelong New Yorker. I've seen many things, but what I saw that day shocked me, the doorman recounted. Not to be too graphic, but it was one gal and three guys. At the point that the writer puts in the doorman recounted, you can imagine the doorman, as he's giving this quote, just like, looking over his left shoulder, looking over his right shoulder, and then barreling into, I don't want to be graphic, but it was a goddamn gangbang. Space NML in the Twitch chat says, I witnessed 9/11, and that didn't prepare me for this foursome. I also love, like, what is the static amount of public sex that you're used to seeing as a lifelong New Yorker? Like, listen, I'm a lifelong New Yorker, okay? So, I mean, listen, a little missionary, right? You know, maybe a doggy style every 10 years or so. I can understand it. But, friends, this was a no-holes-barred super gangbang. All right, we're talking about sap wasn't the only thing left on these trees. This was an all-out bang till you drop screw fest. And as a lifelong New Yorker, hey, I'm fucking here. Fuck out of here. I'm a lifelong New Yorker trying to have a public park gangbang. Not to be too graphic, but it was one gal and three guys. Oh. See, Italian chef kissing his hands. We go back to the story by JuRY Goose. Residents who paid $1 million for condos are often shocked when they notice what's going on the public green space, Lamboy added. Their calls often prompt a police response and more sting operations, but as soon as the police leave, the hanky-panky continues. The most romantic spot seems to be among the foliage in the park's hill. The trees protect the lovers from being spotted by anyone at street level, but the condominiums have a bird's eye view of the action. Holy shit! This article doubles up as news you can use. This is also like this begins as kind of a sassy crime story, but quickly morphs into things to do on an autumn day in Harlem. The most popular spot, according to residents, is an area just off the path leading up to the top of the park's hill. The spot sits on the southeast side, just off the footpath, and is littered with open condom wrappers. When DNA Info New York reporter visited the area Thursday afternoon, one man was seen performing oral sex on another man. Below them, at grade level in the park, older people played chess on park benches while dogs frolicked and a group of kids played flag football on the field. Boom! This important journalism. This is important journalism. That person went there by themselves. They saw a gay blowjob and then immediately reported everything else that was happening. That is evocative. That is reporting. Joseph Manley, who lives near the park on 123rd Street, also saw men in the act. This is ridiculous, said Manley, who takes his dog to the park and has seen men walking around naked. I told them to take that shit somewhere else because there are children in the park. The kids see it. The tourists see it. Some of them take pictures sometimes. Oh, my God. I can't just read this whole article. I'll post the article with for you guys to read. But it's just, oh, I love all these quotes. Journo Goose. JournoGoose. I'm just gonna let him know. Here we go. I'm gonna tweet at Gustavo Solis. Let me get his byline here. Hold on, wait a minute. Here we go. Yeah. This is an amazing article. Thank you. There we go. I've just tweeted at him. I hope everybody does the same. We need to laud the real journalistic heroes in this ever shifting time and age. Maybe it's just because I've been watching Luke Cage, but all I can imagine is just like Luke Cage has cleaned up all the crime in Harlem. And he's walking up through this park, and it's just Luke Cage looking into this gangbang. Sweet Christmas, he says, while only the sound of flesh on flesh fills the air, intermingling with a game of flag football. While the resident of $1 million high-rise apartment fans themselves and clutches their pearls. If you live in Harlem, let me know. Is this a real problem? Does everybody know that people fuck in this park? We need to know this. All right, we got another crazy story. This one isn't in New York, but it is in my home state. For those of you who are new to the program, I am a full-time Florida apologist. It's what I do. I just love to apologize for Florida. This one from 2 days ago. Florida man arrested after police mistook Krispy Kreme glaze for meth. Received $37,500 in a settlement. Musical chemist. I just can't get over this New York story. I want to be a part of it in old New York. If I can gang bang there, I'll gang bang anywhere. Don't touch that tree, New York. Let's get to this Florida story. A man who was arrested after police mistook the glaze on his Krispy Kreme donut for crystal meth has received $37,500 in a settlement. Daniel Rushing, 64, sued the city of Orlando after he was arrested in December 2015 on drug charges. Law enforcement had spotted 4 small flakes of glaze on his floorboard and thought they were pieces of crystal methamphetamine. What? Rushing told the officer that they were likely bits of the Krispy Kreme donut he'd eaten earlier, but he was arrested for possession of meth after 2 roadside drug tests tested positive for an illegal substance. I couldn't believe it, Rushing told the Orlando Sentinel. I never even smoked a cigarette before, let alone meth. That's a real bum rap, man. He deserves every bit of that. In fact, I'm shocked it's not more. You got a real case on your hands. Because if you have a drug charge, even if it's disputed, that stuff is in. Here's some news you can use. When employers check to see whether or not you've been arrested, they're not pulling from a current database. They're basically just scraping the publicly available database at whatever point that the service that they paid for scraped that database. So if you had some kind of shit on your record, let's say for the sake of argument in Florida, it was a DUI because those never happen in Florida, and then you get it taken off your record, it may not be off your record at the point that whatever service somebody who's hiring you at the Shoney's is looking everything up on. So this dude, number one, we have a real problem with testing drugs if it's tripping positive for Krispy Kreme, right? That's a problem. If you're oh, let me go ahead and get out the because I'm sure it's I got some sort of test tube and you got to put the eyedropper in and shake it up and then also so it's just one field test. They're yeah, we got him on meth. Let us take him in. You don't test the meth again in another place. At some point, isn't it fairly clear that this is a flake from a Krispy Kreme donut? And furthermore, is there any more relatable crime than, oh, I got too caught up eating this delicious Krispy Kreme donut? Man, that's a hard one to pass up. I could probably say that where I used to live in Florida was down in South Florida in the Fort Lauderdale area, and they built a Krispy Kreme in, probably about a couple miles from the beach, right? On the Intercoastal. I would say passing by there, I probably had a 50-50 chance of, no matter what I was doing, stopping to get Krispy Kreme donuts if that red light was on. If you've never been around a Krispy Kreme, this is how it works. When the donuts are fresh, the red light is on outside. So you know that if you're going into that Krispy Kreme right then, you're not getting some shit that was made whenever, right? You are getting an ooey, gooey, sticky on your fingers. I'm just realizing that this is probably gross considering the last story we told, but I'm just going to barrel through it. Krispy Kreme donut. Oh, the best. I can only imagine like the making the murderer of this though, right? This guy making a donut eater. He thought he was only getting the donut, but it turns out he was in the hole. What's he? How long did he go to jail for it? Or Captain Shelby Riggs Hopkins wrote in the December 11th arrest report that she noticed flakes on Rushing's floorboard. The police department at the time said that the arrest was lawful and didn't explain why the glaze tested positive for amphetamine in both field tests. Riggs Hopkins was given a written reprimand for making an improper arrest, and the Orlando Police Department ending up training more than 730 officers how to properly use field test kits. That man should also get some donuts. You would think if there was one thing that the cops would be good about would be recognizing the telltale sign of some motherfucker who ate some donuts. Not only was this a sticky situation, pun intended, but it was also one that shattered myths about how much cops love eating donuts. If they ate donuts that much, they would have known. That lady would have looked right down on that dude's floorboard and been like, never mind, dog. I got you. I got you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into our emails. You can write into the show, Justin Robert Young at gmail.com. Again, Justin Robert Young at gmail.com. I asked you guys last week to write in with state superpowers, and man, we got a bunch of good ones. Also, by the way, we also have a great, one of my favorite emails at the end of this episode. Here we go. State superpowers, though. Kerry from Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota, and apparently the only state to play this game correctly. Recently brought to life from a recent football game. Now, all right. I want to hear from my Minnesota people here because I was not aware that this was a thing. The reason why this became to the public eye was the Minnesota Vikings scored a touchdown. And as their celebration, now that group celebrations are legal, they played a game called Duck, Duck, Gray Duck. Now, you might know this game not by the name Duck, Duck, Gray Duck, but rather by the name that 49 other states call it, Duck, Duck, Goose. This has been a very goose-like episode of this show. We had Journo Goose. Now we have Duck, Duck, Goose. So here we go. As a youth in Minnesota, this is a BuzzFeed article explaining it. As a youth in Minnesota, I was a sometimes participant in a playground game called Duck, Duck, Gray Duck. In it, a group of child humans would sit in a circle while another circled around them, saying purple duck, blue duck, orange duck, before choosing his prey, who we'd tap on the duck by yelling gray duck. The child would then jump up and attempt to tag the caller before he ran around the circle and took the seat where the gray duck had been seated. If she didn't, she was the new caller. Playing in our home state, most of us had no idea how very alone we were in our own version of this simple, stressful game. But many of us would grow up and leave home, even if just temporarily, and we would find out that this game had been called Duck, Duck, Goose. So, I don't know. Apparently, this is the thing. I was not aware that this is, and people are hot about this. People are pissed off about the whole like duck, duck, gray duck thing, because it was laid bare with this football game, and now all of a sudden everybody's getting all in each other's bill about it. I don't necessarily think that it's that big of an issue. I mean, I don't know. I guess goose just makes more sense to me. Here's where goose makes more sense to me, because you imagine a goose running more, than a duck. Like it's a funny if a goose is like, "Nah," and it's got like his wings up in the air. And that's what you simulate when you say duck, duck, goose. Now all of a sudden the goose chases the caller. And if they are unsuccessful in tagging them, then they become the new goose. I don't know. So that's what I would say. I would personally go with goose, but I'm not gonna crap on Minnesota for that. That's well in your wheelhouse. All right. D8UV writes, my home state of Alaska certainly has a superpower and one that's at the top of my mind following the horrific shooting in Vegas. Guns. I grew up around guns. My parents have 8 themselves, and my dad openly carries whenever he leaves the house. Recreational shooting wasn't that common, but it's certainly something that happened every once in a while. Back when I lived in the bush, Kotzebue, Kotzebue, a super rural village to be exact, subsistence hunting wasn't some abstract concept. It's how parts of my friend's extended family fed themselves. Even my father, my brother-in-law, hunt. It's not a big deal. Then I moved to Illinois. People here are scared of guns. Whenever I've mentioned that my family hunt or that I've shot recreational shooting, people react oddly. Like they're afraid they might see me on the next evening news. Just to clarify, I don't own a gun. After all, as you pointed out during the excellent Unfriend Me show, most gun deaths are due to suicide, and I don't want to be a statistic during some future desperate day. But anyway, good luck bringing energy after that sentence, fucko. Well, thank you, D8UV. And I don't think that is necessarily odd for Alaska. I think that there's a lot of areas of the country for which guns are just more prevalent. All I would say is don't be afraid to talk to gun owners. If you hate guns, you need to be talking to gun owners. Because I'll guarantee you, y'all probably have more in common than you think. And it's better if you're just demystified on the idea of why people would own a gun. I don't own a gun. But I feel like I'm a better person because I've talked to a lot of people that own them. I don't know. Maybe it's just me trying to make myself feel better. Bainthor90 says, if only there were 10 different reality shows about Alaska that could open my mind up to those weird ways. Touché. Dave from Pittsburgh writes, I'm sure you'll hear this, but the wedding cookie table in Pittsburgh. Every Pittsburgh wedding has a cookie table filled up with hundreds and hundreds of homemade cookies made by the family and friends of the bride and groom. The wedding cake takes a back seat to many cookie tables. When you explain this to people outside of here they don't really understand. Also, haluski at Easter and Easter fish fries. And finally, French fries on everything. Sandwiches, yup. Salad, yup. Some places you have to ask for salad without fries in the Berg. Love it. I love Pittsburgh. Gary from Utah says, ice cream dates. Going on ice cream dates, going to ice cream parlors with your date to eat ice cream is a very typical Mormon thing to do for teens dating. I did not know that. I got to ask God about this. Ice cream dates. It's pretty smart, man. Tell you what, I could probably stand for some more ice cream dates. That'd be nice. You know, before you go to a movie. Something like that. Thomas writes, where I grew up in Colorado, you would often give compass directions instead of left-right directions. For example, go east on Boulder Street and then turn north on Union. This is because the mountains provide a great geological reference point. In my case, they were west. I'll tell you what, that's smart. All right. So we got, man, I don't know if I want to read in what order I need to read these. I'm going to read the serious one first, then I'm going to read the thought-provoking one. The serious one. Cappy writes, I wanted to write in last week about the Vegas shooting. I was in no emotional condition. Also, I was in the hospital for other reasons. But to make it short, my fiance and I woke up to a call from her parents at 1:30 a.m. Eastern Monday morning. They were in the crowd of the Vegas concert looking for any information about what they should do. Nothing on the news yet, as it was still in progress. This may be more relevant for PX3, but her mother has been very disturbed by the event, and possibly even more disturbed by other people's opinions on Facebook, mainly the very strong one-sided views on gun control. The poor lady has been through hell, and for her to see that day by day from family and friends has really hurt her. I'm telling this in the nicest way I can, but family members have been cut off. My point in this email is to ask, when did we lose our compassion, kindness, and empathy? I've included my future mother-in-law's Facebook post just a few hours after they found safety. So, all right. Just so everybody knows, I emailed Cappy back and I asked more details on exactly what the offensive emails were about, or the offensive Facebook posts. But I've decided to not tell you guys about it because I believe that this goes beyond people's opinions. This woman was in the middle of a tragedy. And we can all understand that this tragedy is going to be something that will spur further conversation. But come on, man. Come on. Shouldn't the number one thing that somebody should do be to extend a loving, empathetic hand to somebody that at the very least has been through a tragedy like that? Like, I'm not going to pretend that a bunch of people that listen, that are on this lady's Facebook page, are also listening to this show, but holy crap. I really hope that folks who listen to this could, even if you greatly felt very, very important about this topic, like, we can wait until your friend knows, your friend is feeling a little better about it. I don't know. Thank you for writing that in, though, Cappy. The BioCow says she needs to talk to a therapist and not go on Facebook. Well, no, I'll tell you, I don't really like that all that much. Just because I think she should be allowed to do both. Right? And there's nothing to be said that she didn't do both. All right, let's go out on a little bit of a higher note, but not by much. I'm going to turn to the wisdom of the JuRY audience. Anonymous Diamond writes, oh, wait, hold on. No. Well, here, this is Anonymous Diamond writes, talking about creepy teachers. It was in high school. I was a senior. I asked a girl out. She was a cheerful Christian girl who I had several classes with. Let's just call her Eve. She turned me down, just like she had turned down everyone who had asked her out. Me and my friends all knew that Eve had strict religious parents, and we figured that she wasn't allowed to date. I thought nothing more about it until a week after her graduation. That's when I heard some news from a friend. Our high school music teacher turned up at Eve's home the day after she graduated, and he asked for her hand in marriage. I soon found their wedding announcement in the local newspaper. How could this have been done? So many questions. How long had they secretly been dating? How did they keep it secret? Did the parents know about this before her music teacher showed up on the doorstep the day after her graduation? Creepy or not, you decide. I know I've given y'all a bunch to email in about, but I want one more thing. Creepy or not. Creepy or not. You decide. Very, 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 very curious to know which one comes in more. Creepy or not. All right, everybody. A few things to remind you about before we wrap things up. Number one, again, you can go ahead on over to patreon.com/JuRY. Know that every single dime that comes in to support the program is greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Working on a bunch of really cool stuff. Like I mentioned before, everything that is going on right now is designed to have make this show better. We want to continue to make this show the best thing that it can be, and you can continue to do that at patreon.com/JuRY. Diamond Club patches available now at Stickers or DIAF. Again, Stickers or DIAF.com. Limited edition. When they're gone, I have no idea when they'll be back in stock. So go ahead and get them now. Stickers or DIAF. Of course, if you want to email the show, you can go ahead and do it. JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Again, JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. You can also go ahead and hit me up on the socials. Twitter and Instagram, Justin R. Young, Snapchat as well. You want to know what, folks? Is your old pal JuRY.
What do you say we both just leave?
If you find yourself gazing out at a gangbang,
Is there more here left to see?
if you find yourself nervous trying to meet new people,
Is it me?
if you find yourself in jail for meth when all you did was eat a Krispy Kreme donut, well then remember, this is your old pal Justin Robert Young reminding you that above all else, please don't die. See you next week.
Shout back at me. Do you like the way you're dressed up?
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.